The horse fell at his door. The woman didn't ask for help. She gave him a choice. The sun had barely begun its climb over the jagged horizon when Eli noticed something unusual at his doorstep. He was a man of routine. Morning chores, checking the water filtration, repairing old tech scavenged from ruins, but this was new. A horse. Or what seemed like a horse. It wasn't an ordinary animal. Its metallic hide glinted under the first light, circuits flickering faintly like tiny veins of energy. Sparks flew from its broken leg as it struggled to rise, but it collapsed again with a soft, hollow thud. Eli froze, his tools dangling from his hands. He had seen many things in the wasteland, the scattered ruins of human colonies, abandoned vehicles half buried in sand, even alien drones, but nothing like this, a mechanical horse, collapsed right at his door. He stepped closer cautiously, his boots crunching over the dusty stones. "Who?" he started, but the words caught in his throat. Movement appeared beyond the fallen horse. A figure emerged from the shimmering heat waves of the desert. A woman. She walked with a calm, measured pace, as if she owned the sands she crossed. Her armor was strange, smooth and dark, reflecting the sunlight like black glass. On her back, a small device hummed softly, almost like it was alive. She didn't run, she didn't shout for help. She simply stopped a few feet from the horse and studied Eli with sharp, steady eyes. Eli swallowed hard. He was not used to strangers, especially not ones who came from the desert without explanation. "Are you going to help it?" he asked, his voice uncertain. The woman's lips curved slightly, but it was not a smile. "I didn't come here to ask for help," she said, her tone calm, almost commanding. "I came to give you a choice." Eli blinked. A choice? From a stranger? He glanced at the fallen horse, then back at her. A choice about what? "Your life," she replied simply, "or at least your chance to do something bigger than yourself. There's a colony not far from here, trapped and under threat. I can take you to them. You can help, or you can stay here, alone, and watch the world fall apart around you." Eli's heart raced. He had lived alone for so long, building walls around himself, avoiding trouble, avoiding people. And now, this stranger, a woman he had never seen, was asking him to leave that life behind, to choose action over safety. He wanted to say no. He wanted to tell her to leave, to let the horse die, to go back into the desert where he couldn't see her. And yet, something in her eyes held him. It was not fear, not anger, not desperation. It was certainty. A certainty that made him feel both small and inadequate, and yet strangely capable. The horse moved again, a low whine of effort escaping its mechanical body. Eli's hand itched toward his tools, but the woman shook her head. "If you want to help it, you'll need to come with me. There isn't time to fix it here." Eli hesitated. He had spent years surviving, scavenging, keeping himself alive day by day, but he had never faced something like this, something that demanded not just survival, but courage. Something that offered more than life. Something that offered meaning. I don't know if I can," he said finally. "You can," she replied. "Everyone can. You only need to choose." Her words, simple as they were, struck him deeply. He remembered the days he had spent alone, staring at the ruins of the old world, wondering why humans had survived at all. They survived because they were clever, because they adapted, because they made choices, sometimes hard, sometimes terrifying. Eli looked back at the horse. Its circuit sparked again, faint blue light flickering across its chest plate. The animal, or machine, seemed alive, almost pleading. And in that moment, Eli made a choice. He stepped forward. "All right," he said, his voice firmer than he expected. "I'll come with you." The woman nodded once, sharply, then turned toward the desert. "Good. Follow me." Eli grabbed a satchel with tools and water, his mind racing with questions. Who was this woman? Where exactly was the colony? What kind of danger awaited them? And most pressing of all, what kind of world had turned horses into machines? They moved quickly across the desert. The sand was hot under their feet, and the wind carried fine dust that stung their eyes. But Eli found himself not focusing on discomfort. He watched her. Kayla. He would later learn her name. Observe the terrain, notice small patterns in the sand, detect the faint traces of alien tech buried beneath the dunes. She moved like someone who had spent years in danger, who understood not just how to survive, but how to navigate a world filled with threats humans couldn't fully understand. As they walked, she finally spoke again. That horse was a messenger, she said. It was sent ahead by the colony. It's old tech, but it still works if you know how to fix it. They knew you could help. Ellie frowned. They knew me? How? Kayla didn't answer immediately. She was scanning the horizon, her eyes sharp. They'll explain later, she said finally. Right now, survival is the priority. If we don't get there soon, it might be too late. The heat climbed higher, and the desert stretched endlessly around them. Eli realized how small he felt, how vulnerable. And yet, strangely, he felt alive. For the first time in years, he felt part of something larger than himself. He had a purpose. They stopped for a moment near a rocky outcrop to catch their breath. Eli looked at Kyla and asked, "Why me? There must be others." Kyla's gaze softened just a fraction. Because humans survive when they are needed most. You think you're ordinary, Eli. You're not. You're willing to make a choice, and that is rare. Most people hide. Most people wait. But you acted. Eli felt a warmth rise in his chest, a mixture of pride and fear. Acting was easy in theory, terrifying in reality. But he had acted. He had chosen. And now the consequences would follow him, whether he liked it or not. As they continued, the desert began to show signs of strange activity. Small craters appeared, glowing faintly with residual alien energy. Shadows flickered at the edges of their vision. The world was not safe. But the woman beside him was fearless, and somehow that gave him courage. By sunset, they had traveled far enough to see the first signs of the colony. Smoke rose in thin spirals from half-destroyed buildings. The faint hum of energy shields could be heard if one listened closely. And the threat was obvious. Alien drones patrolled the perimeter, scanning for intruders. Kayla knelt behind a dune, signaling Eli to do the same. "We're close," she whispered. "From here, every step matters. You will need to trust your instincts and your hands. The horse, when repaired, will help. But you must be ready." Eli nodded. His heart pounded in his chest. For the first time, he understood what it meant to be part of something bigger than survival. He had chosen action over safety. He had chosen to leave his door, his solitude, his past, and step into a world of danger. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the desert in shades of fire and shadow, Eli realized that his life, once small and confined, had expanded in a way he could never have imagined. The horse had fallen at his door, yes, but it was the woman's choice, her challenge, that had truly changed him. And for the first time in years, Eli felt ready to fight, not just to survive, but to protect, to help, and perhaps to become the kind of human the galaxy might one day remember. The desert was merciless under the early morning sun. Sand stretched endlessly, pale and hot, and the wind carried whispers of distant storms. Eli followed Kayla closely, keeping pace with her confident strides. His muscles ached from the sudden change in routine, but adrenaline kept him moving. Each step was heavier than the last, yet he could not stop thinking about the fallen horse at his door, its faint sparks and whines echoing in his memory. "Can it really be fixed?" he asked cautiously, glancing at the mechanical horse they had left under a small dune for safety. Kayla didn't look back. "It has the right design. All it needs is a human touch," she replied, her voice calm, precise. "I can guide you, but you'll need to do the work." "Are you ready?" Eli swallowed. He had spent years repairing scavenged tech, but this was unlike anything he had ever touched. It was part animal, part machine, and fully alien, but he nodded. "I'll try." Kayla gave him a brief, approving glance before turning back to the path. "Good. Try is all I ask." The next few miles were filled with silence broken by the occasional harsh whistle of wind. Eli's mind raced. He was starting to understand why Kayla had come straight to him. Most humans, she had said, hid. But he had chosen action. And now, every choice he made mattered. When they reached the dune under which the mechanical horse rested, Kayla crouched beside it. It's delicate in some ways, but strong in others. Think of it like a real horse. You can't force it, but you can guide it. Eli knelt down, brushing sand from the horse's metallic chest plate. The faint hum of energy pulsed beneath his fingers. He traced circuits that were still functioning and identified the broken joints in its legs. Sweat trickled down his temple. "I don't know if I can do this," he muttered. "You can?" Kayla repeated, her tone sharper this time. "Trust yourself. Humans have always survived against impossible odds. Don't forget that. Your hands are tools, yes, but your mind is sharper. You'll fix it. Eli took a deep breath and began. Tools in hand, he carefully reconnected the damaged circuits, replaced fractured plates, and recalibrated sensors. Hours seemed to pass as his fingers moved with precision, guided by both instinct and Kayla's steady instructions. At one point, a loose panel slipped, sending sparks flying. Eli jumped back, heart racing, but Kayla's hand was steady on his shoulder. "Focus," she said softly. "Fear will only slow you." By mid-afternoon, the horse's circuits glowed brighter, and its leg began to flex as if testing its strength. Eli smiled faintly. He had done it, not just repaired a machine, but brought a life, or at least a semblance of life, back to function. "Good," Kayla said, her voice almost approving. "Now mount it. It will help us cross the remaining desert faster, but remember, it is sensitive to both of us. Move with it, not against it." Eli climbed aboard cautiously. The horse adjusted under his weight, whirring softly. For the first time, he felt a strange bond forming between himself and this alien creature. It was alive in a way, not by nature, but by ingenuity, by human hands, and now by his choices. As they rode, Kayla led the way, her eyes scanning the horizon. In the distance, dark shapes shimmered, a reminder that danger was never far in this world. They moved in silence, the only sounds, the wind, the horse's mechanical hum, and the faint crunch of sand under their feet. "Why are you really doing this?" Eli asked suddenly. "Why not just leave them?" Kayla didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pointed to a small crater nearby, glowing faintly with alien energy. "Because if we don't, no one will. Humans survive because we act. We don't wait. Every choice has consequences."
"You are learning that now."
Eli nodded, absorbing her words. He thought of the colony waiting for them, trapped and defenseless. He felt both fear and determination. He had chosen action before. Now he understood the weight of that choice. Hours passed, and the desert began to change. Ruins appeared on the horizon, remnants of old human settlements, half buried in sand. Strange towers, covered in alien technology, shimmered with faint energy pulses. Eli realized these structures were likely remnants of the war that had forced humans to flee to this harsh land. Kayla's pace did not slow, but she occasionally paused, studying the ruins, noting weak points and hidden dangers. "They're watching," she said quietly, more to herself than to Eli. "Ooh," he asked, scanning the horizon nervously. "Drones? Alien scouts. They follow activity, and humans are easy to track if they're careless." Eli's heart thudded. He had imagined danger before, but now it was real and present, visible only to those who knew how to see it. Kayla glanced at him, reading his fear. "Fear is natural," she said. "Control it. Let it sharpen your senses instead of freezing you. Humans survive because we use every tool available. Our hands, our minds, our instincts." By evening they had reached the outskirts of a canyon. A faint river of molten rock ran through it, casting a strange glow across the rocks. The path was treacherous, but Kayla guided the horse carefully, navigating jagged edges and unstable ground. Eli's heart raced with every step, but he began to trust the creature. Trust Kayla, and most importantly, trust himself. As night fell, they made camp behind a large boulder. The desert sky stretched endlessly, filled with stars Eli had not seen since childhood. Kayla set up a small energy shield, barely visible, to protect them from potential scouts. Eli sat quietly, repairing some minor damages to the horse and reflecting on the day. "You've changed," Kayla said suddenly, her voice breaking the silence. Eli looked up.
"Me?"
"Yes," she replied. "When I found you, you were alone, hiding from the world. Now you make choices, and you take action. That is the difference between surviving and living." Eli felt a warmth rise in his chest. He had always thought survival was enough. Now he realized survival alone was not enough. Action, courage, and purpose mattered more. The night passed with strange quiet, broken only by distant sounds of the desert, rocks tumbling, the hum of alien energy, and once a distant roar that made Eli grip the horse tightly. Kayla remained calm throughout, her eyes scanning the horizon even in sleep. At dawn, they continued their journey. The colony was near, and Eli could feel it. The air grew thicker with energy traces, signs of alien machinery and human habitation. Kayla's pace increased, yet she kept a careful eye on Eli, guiding him, encouraging him silently. By midday, they saw signs of life. A small group of humans, barricading a perimeter with whatever materials they could find. Drones hovered in the sky, scanning for weaknesses. Eli's heart sank. The colony was real, alive, and under threat. Every choice they had made so far had led them here, and now it was time to act. Kayla dismounted, signaling Eli to do the same. "We're almost there," she whispered. "You will need your hands, your mind, and your courage. Are you ready?" Eli nodded, gripping his tools and adjusting the horse's control harness. "I'm ready." Kayla smiled faintly. "Good. Remember, humans survive because we fight when others run, because we think when others panic, and because we act when others wait. Let's show them why." As they crept closer to the colony, Eli realized that the journey had already changed him. He was no longer the man hiding behind his door waiting for life to happen. He was part of something bigger, something vital. And the mechanical horse, once broken and lifeless, now carried him forward, not just across the desert, but into a future he was ready to face. And as the first alien drones shimmered above the colony, Eli knew the real challenge was about to begin. The colony lay ahead, nestled in a shallow canyon, its walls patched together with metal sheets, stone, and remnants of alien tech scavenged from the desert. Smoke curled from small fires where humans cooked what little rations remained. Children peeked from behind barricades, their eyes wide with both fear and hope. But Eli's attention was caught by the drones hovering silently above, their mechanical limbs glinting in the sunlight. Each one scanned, calculating, analyzing, a quiet threat that could turn deadly in seconds. Kayla crouched behind a jagged rock and gestured for Eli to join her. "We can't walk in openly," she said. "You will need to help me distract the drones. The horse, your work, will be vital." Eli's heart thumped. The mechanical horse, once broken at his door, now felt heavier than ever. Its systems hummed under his hands, ready to respond, but this was real. Real danger, real stakes, and real lives depending on him. He glanced at Kayla, calm and confident, and knew that fear had to be controlled or it would freeze him where he stood. "We need a diversion," Kayla continued. "You'll use the horse's energy output to lure the drones away from the main entrance. I'll lead the colonists to safety while you handle the rest." Eli swallowed hard. He had repaired the horse, tested its movements, but he had never faced active combat. His fingers brushed the controls, feeling the hum of energy beneath his palms. I can do this," he said quietly. "You can," Kayla replied firmly. "Remember, humans survive because we act when others hesitate." Taking a deep breath, Eli guided the horse forward. Its metallic legs moved silently over the sand, almost organic in their motion. He focused, adjusting the energy pulse output, sending short bursts that flickered across the canyon like lightning. The drones reacted immediately, changing their flight patterns, drawn by the signal. Eli's pulse quickened. Each decision, each small adjustment could mean success or failure. Meanwhile, Kayla moved among the colonists, coordinating them efficiently. She directed families toward hidden tunnels and reinforced barricades while keeping an eye on Eli. Her voice was calm, commanding, a stark contrast to the chaos around them. Children clutched hands as they moved, trusting her implicitly, their fear mingling with the faint hope her presence inspired. The drones swooped lower, scanning for anomalies. Eli guided the horse in tight circles, sending energy pulses in patterns that confused their sensors. Sparks shot from the horse's back like fireworks, drawing attention, and the drones followed. One of them fired a plasma beam at the horse, and Eli barely maneuvered out of the way, the heat brushing past his arm. "Careful!" Kayla shouted from a distance, her voice sharp with urgency. "Don't let them corner you!" Eli's hands moved rapidly, adjusting circuits and energy outputs on the fly. Every second counted. He realized that survival wasn't just about skill. It was about quick thinking, about improvisation. Humans had survived worse, Kayla had said, because they adapted, because they used their minds as weapons as well as their bodies. A drone swooped from above, its sensors locking onto the horse. Eli acted instinctively, sending a pulse upward. The drone's systems overloaded and it crashed into the canyon wall with a metallic clang. Eli exhaled sharply, but there was no time to relax. 2 more drones were approaching. Kayla signaled him with a quick hand movement. "Use the terrain. Lead them into the traps near the old ruins." Eli understood. He maneuvered the horse toward the crumbling walls of a nearby ruin, sending out pulses that lured the drones into narrow passageways. The drone's movements became erratic, and one collided with a fallen tower, sending debris scattering. Eli felt a surge of relief, but it was short-lived. Another drone swooped closer, faster than the others. Kayla moved toward the colonists, giving clear instructions. "Keep low! Use the shelters! Move quietly and stay together." Her voice was calm but carried an urgency that demanded attention. The colonists obeyed, moving with surprising coordination under her guidance. Eli's fingers trembled slightly as he adjusted the horse's output again. The final drone fired, narrowly missing him. Eli ducked, sending a concentrated pulse toward the canyon wall. The energy bounced back, striking the drone's sensors and causing it to spin out of control. Sparks rained down from its body as it crashed into the rocks below. Silence fell for a brief moment. The dust settled. The colonists emerged from their hiding spots, faces pale but filled with cautious hope. Kayla approached Eli, her eyes scanning for any immediate threats. "You did it," she said simply. Eli felt a wave of exhaustion and relief. We saved them," he whispered. Kayla shook her head.
Not yet.
"We've bought them time. But survival isn't about one battle. It's about every decision you make, every moment you act. The aliens will return and we need to be ready." Eli nodded, understanding the weight of her words. This wasn't a victory. It was a lesson. Humans survived not because the dangers disappeared, but because they adapted, because they made choices when others hesitated. Over the next few hours, Eli helped repair defenses. He guided the colonists in strengthening barricades, setting up improvised sensors, and reinforcing energy shields around the perimeter. Kayla taught him how to read the terrain, how to predict drone movements, and how to use the environment as an ally. Every moment was a test, every choice critical. As night fell, the colony quieted. Fires burned low, casting long shadows across the walls. The colonists, exhausted but safe, began to rest. Eli sat on the horse, feeling the weight of the day in his muscles and mind. Kayla approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did well," she said. "Today, you weren't just a survivor. You were part of something bigger. You made choices, took action, and protected others. That is what it means to be human." Eli looked around at the colonists, their tired but hopeful faces reflecting the faint glow of firelight. He felt a deep sense of connection, a realization that his life, once confined to solitude, had expanded into something meaningful. The choice he had made, to leave his door, to follow Kayla, had led him here. And, here in the face of danger, he had discovered courage he didn't know he possessed. Kayla turned her gaze toward the horizon. "Rest tonight," she said. "Tomorrow we continue. The aliens will come back, and when they do, we must be ready. Your choice isn't over, Eli. It's only beginning." Ellie nodded, understanding that every choice, every act of courage, would define not only his survival but the survival of others. He felt a quiet pride, tempered by awareness of the dangers still ahead. The mechanical horse shifted beneath him, a reminder that even in this harsh, uncertain world, ingenuity, effort, and human will could make a difference. As Eli watched the stars blink to life overhead, he realized the truth of Kayla's words. Humans survived because they acted when others waited. They adapted when the world tried to crush them. They made choices, even terrifying ones, and through those choices they endured. And for Eli, the choice that had begun at his doorstep had become something far greater than he ever imagined. It had become a journey of courage, of skill, and of human spirit. The night air was thick with tension. The colony slept fitfully under the faint glow of distant stars, but Eli and Kayla did not rest. The alien drones had retreated temporarily, but their silence was ominous. Eli knew they would return, stronger and more precise. The canyon walls, patched with human ingenuity, held the sleeping colonists safely for now, but Eli could sense the fragile balance of survival teetering on a knife's edge. Kayla stood on a small ridge overlooking the colony. Her eyes scanned the horizon, calculating and patient. "They're coming back," she said quietly. "Bigger, faster, more aggressive. This is our final test. Are you ready?" Eli tightened his grip on the mechanical horse's control harness. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The horse, once broken and abandoned, now stood as their most potent weapon and shield. Its circuits glowed softly in the dark, responding to his presence and thoughts. "I'm ready," he said, voice firm despite the nerves rattling in his chest. Kayla nodded once approvingly. "Remember, every choice matters. Every action can save lives, or cost them. Trust your hands, trust your mind, and most of all, trust yourself." The first drone appeared over the canyon rim, its metallic body reflecting the cold light of distant stars. Eli guided the horse forward, its legs silent and precise, sending out subtle pulses to draw the drone's attention. The creature reacted instantly, spinning in midair as it locked onto the energy signature. Kayla moved among the colonists, giving clear instructions. Families huddled behind barricades while she reinforced weak points with quick repairs and improvised shields. "Stay low. Move slowly. Follow the light signals," she commanded, her voice calm but urgent. Every word carried authority, every action deliberate. Eli's pulse quickened. The first drone fired a plasma beam and he maneuvered the horse just in time. Sparks erupted from nearby rocks, showering the ground with light. He adjusted the energy output, using it to blind the drone's sensors temporarily. The mechanical horse moved as if it were alive, shifting and pivoting under his hands with perfect precision. Another drone joined the first, and Eli realized the battle was escalating. He guided the horse toward a narrow passage in the canyon, using the terrain to their advantage. The drones, larger and faster this time, followed, but the walls constricted their movement. Sparks flew, metal screeched, and the sound of mechanical wings flapping echoed through the canyon. Kayla signaled them from the ridge. "Now, lead them into the traps we set near the old ruins." Eli acted without hesitation. He maneuvered the horse with skill and intuition, sending energy pulses toward hidden snares, fallen towers rigged with improvised explosives and energy nets built from scavenged alien tech. The first drone collided with the net, short-circuiting instantly. The second tried to avoid the trap but was too late. It struck the side of a jagged wall, spinning out of control and crashing into a pile of debris. Eli exhaled sharply, but there was no time to celebrate. More drones emerged, their sensors scanning for movement. The mechanical horse shifted beneath him, responding to his every thought, every small adjustment. He realized that the machine's true power was not in its weapons, but in its responsiveness, its ability to anticipate, adapt, and support him. Kayla moved swiftly among the colonists, reinforcing barricades and organizing them into small groups. She handed simple tools and energy pulses to those willing to help, turning frightened civilians into active participants in their survival. "Use the environment! Adapt! Fight when necessary," she instructed, her voice carrying the weight of experience and authority. Eli felt a surge of confidence. He had repaired the horse, he had learned from Kayla, and now he was using everything at his disposal to protect the colony. Human ingenuity, combined with courage and quick thinking, was a formidable force, even against advanced alien machines. The drones adapted, coordinating their attacks with speed and precision. One fired directly at the horse, and Eli pivoted just in time, sending a pulse that reflected the beam harmlessly into the canyon wall. The horse surged forward, dodging and weaving, leading the drones into another trap. A cascade of rubble fell, taking out 2 more drones in a brilliant, chaotic display. The colonists watched in awe and fear. Children clutched their parents and adults held their ground, inspired by Eli and Kayla. The humans in the canyon were no longer helpless. They were a united force, using brains and courage to face seemingly insurmountable odds. Eli felt the strain in his muscles and mind, but he didn't stop. Every pulse, every movement mattered. He adjusted the horse's output, sending bursts of energy toward the drone's sensors, blinding and confusing them. He guided the machine like a living companion, predicting movements, anticipating attacks, and slowly the tide began to turn. The remaining drones, outmaneuvered and trapped, began to falter. One collided with a makeshift barricade, another fell into a pit camouflaged with sand and debris. The last drone, larger and faster than the others, hovered briefly before retreating into the night. Silence fell across the canyon, broken only by the soft hum of the mechanical horse and the heavy breaths of humans. Kayla approached Eli, her eyes scanning for further threats. "You did it," she said quietly. "Today you weren't just a survivor, you were a protector. You acted when it mattered most. You made choices that saved lives." Ellie exhaled, relief flooding his body. We did it," he corrected, glancing at the colonists who were emerging from their hiding places, faces pale but filled with hope. Kayla nodded. "Humans survive not because the danger disappears, but because we face it, because we act, we think, we adapt. Today, you chose courage, and that choice mattered." Eli looked at the mechanical horse, its circuits dimming slightly as it rested, and realized how far he had come. The horse, once broken and abandoned, had become a symbol of his growth, of human ingenuity, determination, and resilience. As dawn approached, painting the canyon in shades of gold and red, The colonists gathered around Ellie and Kayla. They thanked them, their voices filled with genuine gratitude. Children touched the mechanical horse cautiously, fascinated by its strange, alive qualities. Adults shared stories of their own resilience, of small acts of ingenuity that had kept them alive until now. Kayla placed a hand on Eli's shoulder.
"Rest tonight," she said.
"Tomorrow, we move forward. This colony is safe for now, but the galaxy is vast, and threats are never far. You've learned what it means to act, to adapt, to survive, and that'll be needed again." Eli nodded, a quiet pride rising within him. He had chosen action at his door, and that choice had led him here. He had discovered courage he did not know he possessed. He had repaired the horse, faced danger, protected lives, and emerged stronger, wiser. As the sun climbed higher, Eli mounted the horse once more. Kayla rode beside him, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of returning drones. The colony, alive and grateful, faded behind them, but the lessons remained. Humans survived because they chose to act. Humans thrived because they adapted, because they faced fear with ingenuity and courage. And as they rode toward the next challenge, Eli realized that his life, once confined to solitude and routine, had expanded into something extraordinary. The choice he had made at his doorstep had not only saved lives, it had shaped him into the kind of human capable of facing a galaxy of threats. The desert stretched ahead, vast and dangerous, but for the first time, Eli felt ready. He was no longer alone. He had Kayla, the mechanical horse, and the knowledge that humans could survive anything if they chose to act. And as the first glimmers of distant alien ships appeared on the horizon, Eli understood that the real journey was only beginning, and that humanity, clever, courageous, and resilient, would face whatever came next, together.